Welcome to Remain in the Race podcast, brought to you by 88 Live to Ride, with your hosts, Ryan Havens, Daniel Hillian, and Mitch Reynolds, where we're going to discuss all things family, life, racing, and outdoors, where all glory will be given to the one who created us.
You're listening to episode 32, and we have got a great one in store for you. But first, right off the top, I want to give a big shout out to 110% Nutrition. They deliver the highest quality products and services in the supplement industry. Man, my man AJ Minuti over there is such a great guy. If you see him at the track, he's definitely going to hug you. Big, strong, sturdy dude. It's awesome. But they just released a new supplement called Super Greens. Got a package in the mail, a container, and absolutely love it. It has all the probiotics, the prebiotics, all the nutrition and vitamins you need to support a healthy digestive system. So if you're looking for any type of dietary supplement or meal supplement, whatever you need, pre-post workout, they've got it all. Check out 110% Nutrition for those who know what it takes. Always got to bring in Miss Debbie Bartosik, 88 Live to Ride, and the one and only Mr. Ryland Johnson over there at RJR. But before we get too far into it, got to bring in the one and only Mitchell from his house, Rocket Reynolds. How we doing tonight, Mitch?
Man, we're kicking. We're feeling it. And this is going to be the best episode 32 that we have ever had, for sure.
I think so, man. We also have a grandstander tonight. We have the lovely Miss Emily Hillian. Emily, how you doing tonight?
Feeling good.
Feeling good, eating an ice cream, reading a book, but we have a new audio setup, and I've got to give love to, I'm going to call him a sponsor. He's been one of my best friends for a long, long time, Mitch. You know him, Mr. Bud Friedrich. After the last podcast, guys, I'm sorry, we had tons of great content, but for some reason, my microphone wanted me to scream at everyone. So I do need to apologize. And Bud said, Daniel, order whatever it takes and send me the bill. And so thank you to Mr. Bud Friedrichs. If you're in the central Arkansas area or northeast Arkansas or even northwest, if you're in Arkansas and you need sod, give me a shout and I will hook you up with Double Springs Sod Farms. That's Bud's farm, family owned and operated for 1,000,000 years. So again, thank you to Bud. Hopefully the audio on this one is just a little bit better than last time. But Mitch, since our last part, go ahead, Bud.
I was going to say, and it should just steadily get better from here out. Thank you, Bud. Sorry, in the last couple episodes, we've been trying to improve the audio, but sometimes your equipment just quits you. But then Bud stepping in here, he always gives me some good encouraging words after about every pod. Good job. You killed it, guys, or gives us some good feedback. So thank you, Bud. We want to keep the good content going, and we want to hear our man Super D. So we don't want his mic cutting out anymore.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Like, I think I have some good things to say every blue moon. And this podcast has definitely started off better than any of the other ones. So it is a full moon tonight. Sorry. Say it into the microphone, Emily.
There's a for real blue moon tonight.
So, like a party or like what are we doing? Oh, blue moon. She's just giving me a weird look. Yeah.
We are partying. I mean, it's three of us in a party, podcast party.
It is a podcast party. When we jumped on here, you did have your shirt off, Mitch. So, I mean, I guess
I still have my shirt off.
Oh man. Well, hey, let's keep going with this thing and let's dive into it. So, right off the top, Mitch, since our last pod when we got to ride that awesome Bullet TRX chassis, Husky powered 450 of Kevin Allen Cleveland and Ryland Johnson. What have you been up to, man? What have you been doing, Coach?
Yeah, we have been working. We've been football coaching, softball practicing, staying busy most nights of the week. So yeah, it's fall, it doesn't feel like it here in Arkansas, but fall is right around the corner, and so that means sports are in full throttle. So just staying busy with all that and trying to still keep up with the racing family. What about yourself?
All the same, man. It's it's always fun, for me, and in ministry, I always love the beginning of school. And our school started a week ago Wednesday. I guess, no, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And
Yeah.
When I walked in the office after Emily had dropped the kids off, but I walked in the office about 8, and one of my coworkers, Katie, had dropped her kids off that morning, and we're both just like, hadn't even had coffee yet, and we're just so excited because during the summer it's like, hey, okay, we've got a babysitter lined up. I can go do the okay, babysitter's canceled. We're going with second babysitter. She's in Florida. Okay, third, and it just gets crazy. Or it does for me. And so knowing that 5 days a week, Coop and Soup are taken care of from 7:30 to 3:30, I have never been more excited. Well, I was excited for that one time, but never more excited. So it is good that school has kind of kicked back off here. And yeah, so as we were planning episode 32, we were kind of talking about it beforehand. It's like, man, what are we going to do? And there was supposed to be a race that we were going to be talking about. Well, it got rained out. And so it's like, man, what are we going to do? And we actually have got an interview with the Kisner family. So Nick and Missy are mom and dad, and their two sons, Ryan and Ryder. And so you kind of put this together, and we'll play that audio here in a little bit. But man, that was, I think y'all are really going to enjoy that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to go with. We've been talking about family. Family is the theme of racing, and to get a whole family on here and kind of talk about how that whole thing works and what motivates them to race and push forward and be the best they can be. Just really cool to get Nick and Missy and Flying Ryan and Rocket Ryder on to just hear a little bit about their racing experience to this point. These boys have been racing basically since they were born, but they're involved in other things as well, football and wrestling. But just the competitive spirit that you have within the Kisner family and RitR Motorsports over there, really fun to hear from some of our Missouri friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool because they've kind of, everyone has to start somewhere, and man, they found success really early and really put in the work, and they've even kind of tried to put them in a track there at their house that the boys can practice on. I mean, and it's so cool just that mom and dad are both behind it 100% and do what they can, and it was just really cool to hear their side of it. And so don't want to ruin too much of it for you because I guess we visited with them for 30, 45 minutes a couple of nights ago. And so it was really good to hear from them. So, Mitch, thank you for putting that together for us. It was awesome.
Yeah, good time as always. Love these interviews, hearing people's story, because that's really what it's all about here on the pod, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of one of the things we do. What we do is, we serve one of the greatest guys that told stories and met people where they were. And so that's what we're doing here on Remain in the Race is we want to encourage people to continue or to start their relationship with Jesus, but also like, what does that look like to keep going, to stay in it and to bring others along? And so it's been cool to see the impact they have. And Nick even talks about, getting to meet my dad and the interaction they had. And it was so cool when the backstory, and then they've got to be, really good friends out of this. At every race they go to, they'll sit and talk for 30, 40 minutes. And that's what it's about, man. It's about the relationships and having those competitors out there and knowing that you run the race to win, Mitch, but knowing that at the end of the day, if your competition needs a shock bolt or a spark plug or an air filter or a clutch lever, whatever, you can go over to your buddy and get one. And that's what I love about this sport.
Absolutely. No other sport like it. Well, let's get on to it. Let's listen to the interview. We'll jump in there, and then we'll end up doing a little Jesus talk. We'll talk some Jesus and family after we hear the Kisner family interview.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to catch a pit stop real quick and give a shout out to a sponsor, and then we're going to jump into this interview with the Kisners. So y'all stay with us.
Hey, here at Remain in the Race, we're all about Ryland Johnson Racing. For all of the aftermarket needs, from grab bars and bumpers to heel guards to complete custom builds, give them a visit at RylandJohnsonRacing.com.
Hey, man, we've got the Kisner family. We've got Missy, the boss that runs the show, which is mom, dad, Nick, Ryan, and Ryder. We're all zooming in. Mitch's family is under the weather a little bit. So Ryan and I are in the Frog Studios. The Kisner family is in their home in up around Kansas City, and then Mitch and his crew were. Well, Ryan, if we threw a rock real hard, we could hit him. But hey, welcome to Remain in the Race, Kisner family. How are y'all tonight?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, Mitch, what do you got for him?
So, Ryan, he's got the RY Motorsports shirt on. So let's just open up right there. RY Motorsports is big in the EDT world. So Nick, tell us a little bit about RY Motorsports.
Well, it's actually Ryan Motorsports, and how we came up with that is Ryan's name is Ryan and Ryder is Ryder, and I got to keep it simple for a guy like me. And when we named him, we thought, man, RY, and then just Rye Motorsports, and it was actually Rye Racing Motorsports, and then we came up with the Rye Motorsports to kind of simplify it a little bit, and it's kind of taken off from there. And half of the ATV community calls us Rye Motorsports, the other calls us RY, and it's kind of taken off from there. And again, that's how the name evolved.
I love it. So I know y'all that Rye Motorsports is huge, especially in the youth world, because you've got those 350 those 350s dialed, the DRRs, you had those on lock. I remember going up in your trailer, you had these computers hooked up to both 50, the 70, the 90, and you're like, Mitch, you got to check out like all of this sweet data. And you did have the coolest stuff going on for sure. But you got before we get too deep in it, I want to bring the rest of the family in. You got two stellar boys there with you. Man, you. Ryan, your talent, I could watch it from a young age, man. You're super smooth. You're always working on your craft. And so tell me a little bit about what racing means to you, Ryan.
Racing to me, it's kind of like a way to get out of like my life and do what I love. I do it for a living, and I'll keep doing it until I can't.
I like it. I know what it's like. That's what kept me hooked is you put that helmet on and it's just everything else goes away. I mean, you're just focused on your craft and the thing that you can do. So I can definitely understand. But where do you think you really got your style from? I mean, you're so fast and smooth, but where did you really get your style?
I think I got it mainly from watching Garrett Kisner and Nathan Wolf. They have been my biggest inspiration since I pretty much started racing. Then I got to talk to them, and it was cool, and I started watching them ever since, and it's been my big inspiration from them.
So just kind of watching them, trying to emulate what they do, and that's where you got it. What about setup? Is Dad all in charge of setup, or do you give him a little input on that?
Usually after the races, I tell him what needs to happen, and then we'll make it happen, and we'll do what needs to be done to make a perfect race setup.
Awesome. Well, what about you, Ryder? What about a rocket?
Just to hit on that setup, listen, they're just real good about making my setups look good, okay? So not always are those setups that good. So
Nick starts with what he thinks is going to
work.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, please understand that they do sometimes make my setups look better, but go ahead.
I agree. They are both very smooth riders. And unlike myself, who's kind of a monkey all over the machine, they're smooth. So that makes your job a little bit better, Nick. That's for sure. Well, Ryder, tell us about racing for yourself, buddy. What is it you like about racing so much?
So I like going on the track and going fast. I usually like going against competition that's fast. Just feels like it's interesting racing about new people, racing with new people and stuff, racing with old people still working on it.
Yeah, so just the competition part of that, and you and your brother having a track there, I mean, that really helps. So you've always got older brother to chase, and I know that
that Super D can really attest to that. He's a younger brother, so he knows all about chasing the older brother, and so you'll have a little special place in Super D's heart. That's for sure, Ryder.
The only difference, Ryder, is my older brother is about a foot taller than I am and about 50 pounds heavier. Like, I got the shaft in my family. All the guys are super tall except me, but I like to think I'm funny. But yeah, man, that and last year at Ashtabula, Ryan thought I was 50 years old, so I already don't like him. So you're number one about this, Ryder.
Oh, Ryan's gonna put him in the old man class. All right,
Yeah.
so
Hey.
y'all tell me about a race weekend. I mean, because this is so much a family deal. Missy, we know your involvement. You're all over the place at the races. Nick, you love it. Boys, obviously, y'all are invested. Y'all put in a ton of time away from the races, working at your racecraft, wrestling and football and all these other sports, keeping yourself in shape and practicing at your track. But y'all kind of give me, like, what does it look like during the week getting ready for race weekend?
It's hectic.
Yeah, it's very hectic around here. Me and Missy, I mean, actually, Missy does a lot more than what a lot of people think, and it's not always sometimes due to the racing, but just keeping us glued together and keeping us grounded and keeping our mind straight because, she got to help the boys and stuff, and so usually our race starts, depending on how the race ended prior to, and if we don't have catastrophic failures, we kind of set up the track, our practice track, for what we're getting ready to encounter. Like, so if we know we're going to like Ashtabula, Bud Fisher is great up there. Their facility is great, and we try to emulate that as best as possible. But we also try to make harsh conditions, slick, dry slick, and stuff. We recently just purchased an asphalt roller, and I have a fire truck that I watered the track with. So I'm able to, get it hard packed tight, or I can get it loose and stuff if we're going to like a Sykeston and stuff. I can't emulate the sand, but I can get close. But, you were hitting on about keeping all the data in the computer and stuff. And, I try to be an open book with all the participants of racing because, I want the sport to grow because it's given us a lot of memories and a lot of friendships that mean a lot to us. And we've made a lot of enemies, unfortunately. And, but getting back to that, I go back to my data and I know kind of what each track is going to want, at least a base setup. And so if we're going to a certain track throughout the week, I start doing the setups on those bikes. We start scaling, and me and the boys start talking about certain turns, and we watch some of the data, and we can watch the option lanes and talk about, hey, remember this was at that. And, we try to go through their head. And I mean, you got to hand it, these boys put up a lot with me with the racing, and then we ask them to go to school, make good grades, and then they got football and they have wrestling, and then they come home and, dad is in their head, you remember the race over here, and you remember how to do your hole shots, and we're going to try a different hole shot, out here on our track. So, I got to hand it to these three. I mean, they put up a lot with me because I do demand a lot out of my kids and my wife, and, they're a true blessing to me. I mean, you catch yourself when you're trying to you start a family, you're praying for that boy, but then at the end of the day, you're praying for that healthy kid, and I got blessed. And then I got another blessing when Ryder came, I got 2 healthy boys, a great wife. I'm very blessed for this. And that, this is why we help anybody and everybody at the track, honestly, even the people that don't care for us. I mean, there's several times I could tell you guys about at the track helping individuals that weren't really saying good things about us, but I'm still over there helping their kid get their bike started. Well, as they're still cussing me, but that's okay.
Just to interject right there for a second, Nick, in any sport, when you're at the top, the target's on you. So that's what, it is.
I know y'all are competitive and y'all push to be the very best. And, you obviously set that standard and the boys follow through with that, as well as Missy. I mean, it is y'all's family philosophy. I mean, why halfway do something, right? I mean, do it to the greatest potential. And y'all have won many championships and you've been at the top. And when you're at the top, there's a target on you. I mean, that's the way it is. But it doesn't mean that that those people dislike you in any sense. Y'all got to take the compliment, both Ryder and Ryan. You got to take that, knowing that that really that's respect. They respect the race that you have on the track, and they're like, dang, I want that.
Right.
And you oftentimes go ahead.
No, I just said that's a good perspective because a lot of people can't see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to, you can't let the thoughts of others kind of slow you down in that sense. Just motivate and do like, what you do, Nick. Help them anyway. It's like, a lot of times that just stems from people just being a little bit jealous and like wanting what you have. That's okay. That's part of competition for sure, and navigating that as being a champion and a winner. You're always going to have people who are gunning for you, for sure. And you boys, since I don't know when y'all both won your first championship. I'm sure for you, Ryder, it was probably before you could ever even talk good. You're winning championships, right?
Actually, Ryder's first race, he was actually in diaper. I put him on a Polaris 50 and he was just transitioning, like he just got out of diapers. And Ryder was actually shoving rocks in the exhaust pipe at Belleville. And I was like, tell me that didn't just happen. And and then it's like, how many did you put in there? I don't know. And I'm like, there's a parking lot missing a lot of rocks. So I tell the parents, if you get hit by rocks, it's not intentional. He filled the exhaust with rocks. So, yes, that's funny. And Ryder won a championship shortly after that. And Mitch, we come from racing. Missy's been with me through. I mean, we could be here all night, but Missy's been stuck with me. We're high school sweethearts. We started dating in high school.
Bless her heart.
Oh yeah, listen. She will get to jump in line. She will get to jump in line up there at the gates. Believe me. But she's been with me, and she unfortunately has had to deal with that competitive side that I've carried for a long time. I quit sports at my sophomore level in high school and started pursuing of going fast. I worked for a speed shop, Yancey's Automotive there in town, and we made stuff go fast. I mean, I won high school drags my sophomore year, and I wasn't supposed to be there. They took the trophy and the money away from me, and so that was kind of rewarding. I didn't do anything. It's the same thing we fight in racing right now. We try to race up, and we get resistance from the people in the upper class, and then it's the people in the class we're in, they don't want us in there either. So I do hear what you're saying. And Nathan Wolf and Garrett Keister have been really good with the boys. And when Nathan Wolf was involved, he really talked to the boys and told them, you got to remain focused. And Garrett Keister is too. I mean, you've been around Garrett Keister and stuff. I mean, and it's not just Garrett Keister. There is some really good people behind the scenes that have helped our program and have worked with the boys. And you know how it is. You can tell your son something, but then when somebody else tells them something, they'll go out and actually try it. And so, I'm proud of them. I don't influence their, what should I say? I don't influence their belief on somebody or, what they think of somebody. I let them come up with their own feelings and thoughts of somebody. I don't ever steer them to where I think, what I would want to do. And, the boys have taken off with that. And,
Well, and I mean, I'll say this in our interactions, Ryan and Ryder at the racetrack. I mean, y'all welcomed my Ryder in when we showed up at the races. He was just starting to race. So I mean, you boys are doing it right. I mean, y'all are just friends. Y'all are buddies. You're at the races having a good time. The youth are the future of the sport, and I mean, y'all have an incredible talent too. But yes, I mean, setting that standard of understanding, respect, and having a good time, and that's what you go to the races to do. I mean, obviously, we love competing. We love racing. I mean, Garrett and I were good competitors there for a little bit, but I have the utmost respect for him. He has an incredible racecraft, and it is good that pro riders will pour into the youth, because you, Ryan and Ryder, are the future. I mean, you're really what pushes this sport forward, and especially y'all as a family. I know I'm addressing kind of Ryan and Ryder here, but you, Nick, that competitive spirit, pouring that into them and showing them that we're not going to stop at anything short, but we're going to give it our all. Right. And then you, Missy, kind of keeping it all glued together. I know it's chaotic to try to keep go the races, because you've got kids that are in school, you got kids that are wrestling, that are playing football, trying to be part of a team and perform at their highest level there, while still competing at the races and being the best you can do. So it's a lot to balance, but there's just something special about this sport, and the something special I really think is the family. So y'all really emulate what the sport is just within Rye Motorsports or your household. So,
well, and one thing that really kind of turned this program around and kind of put us on a different level, I feel, was the when we went up to Ashtabula, I mean, we had no idea what we were getting ready to walk into. We had no idea what that race was going to entail. All we knew is we knew to load the guns up, and we needed to go up there full tilt. And we told the boys, Ryder was on a 50. That was the first 50 I had ever built. Okay. I have never built a 50, because if you guys look, the MWDT only had a 50 to 90 limited, and you've raced that with so you were always on a stock setup, and we never went to a Northeast race or an East Coast race in the modded class, and the boys only raced stock. And I knew going up there, Ryder was limited to a 50 limited or a 50 open. And so I bought the stuff and built it. And I looked at him, I said, I'm going to give it everything I got and everything I know, because there's not an open book. There's not people pouring in to tell you, hey, Nick, put this kind of timing in it, put this kind of compression in it, and do that. And I told Ryder, I said, you're going to have to ride this thing like you've never ridden before, because we don't know. And the same thing goes with Ryan. I'll be honest with you guys, Ryan raced a 90 in the super mini class in the Midwest for the longest time. And then when I knew we were going up there to that 50th, I knew we had to build a 100, because that's a good talent up there. And I knew even the Midwest kids were going to come up there. I knew it was going to be a blend of everybody, and we knew we were going to race the best in the country. So I knew we had to be ready to go. And so when Ryder got third, Ryan won super mini. And I'm telling you what, guys, I hope it wasn't an overreaction to anybody, but my heart just was like beating. I could just hear it on those last 5 laps, and I couldn't breathe the last lap. I mean, I'm here to tell you, luckily there was a crowd behind us holding me up, and when he won that, I couldn't hardly run over there. And I was just like, he won on the biggest stage. And you guys, please understand, those motors didn't come from Baldwin. They didn't come from any of those guys. G-Force, that stuff was built here, born here, tuned here, and went out, on the track. And, I've always told them, we got to separate ourselves from our competition. And by doing that, I can't have a DASA motor inside my power plant against another DASA because, I feel like I got to set the tone, and I got to be ahead of the competition. And to be ahead of the competition, how do you do that? You got to do stuff here in the shop that's, above par, above even subpar, and we built
Absolutely.
those engines. And I mean, and Ryan jumped out there in the 90 lead, and I missed that setup, and I kind of got onto Bud Fisher about that because he watered the track right before the 90 class, and Ryan went out, and it wasn't but 2 laps, and he spun. He didn't spin. The tires were spinning, and I was like, Ashley Beal, I learned real quick the water doesn't go anywhere for a while. And it was a hard lesson learned, but we got our job done up there. They came home with a win, a second, and a third. And to be on that big stage, I couldn't imagine being them out on that track. So the boys carry themselves way better than I could have, because if my dad told me to get on that 4-wheeler and go that fast, I would have looked at him like, why are you trying to kill me? Did I do something wrong? These boys take it and run, and please understand, I don't come from a long line of racing. I do nothing but respect you guys, because especially with Daniel and his dad, I didn't know until I recently made a friendship with Mr. Hillian. And I talked with that man for over an hour and a half on the phone. And that was probably some of the greatest ATV history lesson that I got.
Well,
but just to know you guys have this.
Nick. It's all history,
Yeah.
all from the glory days. I promise you that.
And that's what really.
That's the thing, man.
Huh?
Like tomorrow night, some of the young kids that, when I was a teenager, they were just kids racing. Well, now they have careers and live right here. I try to connect with those guys, Zane and Landon, and just try to be like, man, we're too good of friends not to connect with. I mean, they live right here in town with us, so it just makes sense to do dinner every so often. But that's just one of the things that, we've made lifelong friends from racing, and it's one of those things like you may not see them for a month or so, but when you do, you just pick up where you left off. It's not weird. It's not awkward. You just keep it going, so.
Well, and even with Mitch and his dad, when I met Mitch and his dad and his family, that's the first time I met them was at Belleville when Mitch came out of retirement on a Kisner bike. I guess Garrett had, or not a Kisner bike, but I guess Garrett had talked to him coming back, and, he came up there and raced. And that's when we first met Mitch. And we kind of got a quick rundown of who everybody was in his pits. Yeah. And that's when, I gained a lot of respect for Mitch, was when I seen his whole family. And now, the Hillians, all you got, and then Cleveland, Kevin Cleveland and his whole family, there was something that's special that happened there. Kevin's son won a race this year. I think it was Michigan or Paducah. Yeah. Paducah, he won the Super Mini. And I was watching the race, but I wasn't really paying attention. But I seen it, and I was getting ready to give him high five, and Kevin came over and hugged me, and I mean just hugged me, bear hugged me, and I was like, your kid won. I mean, why should I be hugging you? And he goes, no, I owe that to you. And I was like, I didn't do nothing. He goes, no, that's what happens when my kids have had to chase your kids around for several years on this track. Yeah. And, it was, so it's little things like that. But, I've got a lot of respect for you guys and the Clevelands and everybody for having this family oriented racing team. And, that's what I've kind of based ours on, is we're either all going to do this or we won't do this, and I've told the boys, we can do whatever you want to do. We'll race whatever you want to race, but we're going to race it as a family. Everybody's all in. And that's just where it's been. And that, winning that 50th, I mean, that really turned our program to the next, it's not like it was in the tank, but I was like, it's for real now. And people like you had we raced against Tanner Terry, and that's big. Michael Houghton. I mean, dude, Michael Houghton. When you say Houghton, and all those guys' names in TT racing, I mean, when you hear that you beat those guys, it's like, it doesn't really set in until we were driving home. Like,
Nick,
wow.
before we get too far past the moment, it was about a few minutes ago. I mean, the listeners can't see it, but I was just grinning from ear to ear, just kind of listening to you describe the 50th and that experience of the success your boys. I know, you're a big part in that, in getting their machines ready, but they had to go out and perform, and to see them perform and do at that level, like. So Rivers has been winning state in softball, and it was like that outweighed any championship that I've ever done personally.
Mm-hmm.
But so that the opportunity to be a father and then pour into your children and see your children succeed, like, it's a feeling like no other. And the involvement of the whole family in their performance. I mean, football and wrestling and softball and some of these things you get to work with them in some aspect, but you get to work with them in every aspect of the racing. It's y'all planning, it's y'all building these machines, you prepping and sacrificing your time to get them to the races. I mean, it all kind of comes down to your family unit and their performance. So I know that had to be a special moment. And that kind of leads into one of the questions. And so you've already really shared your part, Nick, but I want to hear everyone's fondest memory so far of racing. So it seems to me, Nick, that yours is that 50th experience and just not knowing what to expect and just seeing the boys go out there and knock it out of the park. So Missy, I'll kind of just call on you next. What is your fondest memory so far of whether it's a race or the environment of the races? What's your fondest memory?
I'm going to say it had to have been the 50th also. Just because it was something different. We were still racing, they were still kicking butt, but they were still young, and it was awesome for them to go out there and race with different people and show everybody who we are, what we are, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's right. I love it. So Ryan, I'm going to hit you. Flying Ryan, let's hear it. What is your fondest memory of racing or the track?
I feel like 2022, when I won the Open B championship as a rookie, I mean, that class is the reason why I've been getting faster. They pushed me to my limits, and I end up winning the championship over by 100 points, and I was stoked.
Mind you, he was on hit. They allowed him to move up, and he had to stay on his youth quad. And
in the Open B class.
Yeah, in the B class.
Ryan, how old were you at the point of wrapping that championship up?
Like 12 years old.
Yep.
About 12. Preteen. I love it, Ryan. That's awesome.
Yeah. And won the last 6 in a row, and he won the East First West in the B.
Yep.
And listen, it's against stacked riders. You had Tevis Witt and those guys in that class. You had McDowell's. There is some people that were no slouch in that class. And
I know that's the truth. I mean, Ryan is fast. That is for sure. And to do that,
and you know what?
That's a
that
memory.
Was really good that he got that, because when we came out to Belleville for that first race, he won the heat. But let me tell you, he screwed up in the mains, and he ended up getting 8th. Okay, and of course, he had to hear it from me, and we talked about the perfectness, but it didn't come easy. You can imagine, you've been on those ride homes with your dad, and you'd rather be in the back in the trailer instead of up front with him. And I don't ever put I never put him down mentally, but man, it was he came out of the trenches, and I couldn't be more proud of the boys for them turning it on. But I don't want to take just to get onto that story that he didn't just walk up there and start winning the B out of the gate. He found out real quick on, less CCs and being immature. You have to step up. You got to be perfect. And let me tell you too. I got to thank Billy Clayton for giving us that opportunity. Okay, so we did get that opportunity for Ryan to go up there and flex his muscles, but we could get into that later. But that was an opportunity given to us, and I wish it was still there. But
that's super cool. That's something really cool to hang on to, Ryan, to go out there at 12. I know I was 15 at that time, but I rode a 90 mod, and to go out and race against adults and like at the Tulsa Shootout, and which was a huge race back in the day, indoor race, and to get a top 3 was, that's a memory I'll hold on forever, because I was the little bitty guy with go-kart tires and the young kid.
Yeah.
So you'll always be able to hold on to that. So, well, Rocket Ryder, it's your time to shine, buddy. Tell me, what is your best memory?
Probably going to 2020 whenever we went to the banquet. So I was racing 50 to 70. Last race where we were battling for the belts. I didn't know anything about those belts other than them looking cool, and I wanted one. So I went out and won 2 classes, got 2 belts, went to the banquet, held them up, smiled ear to ear. Jeez, I walked off with those heavy belts.
Oh yeah, 2 belts on. Did you look at brother? Did brother win any belts?
Yeah, he won 2.
Yeah,
he won too. So y'all shouldered up with the belts.
It doesn't matter what you win, Ryder. You just need to win one more than Ryan does.
And Daniel's going to help you whatever it takes, because he's still mad at Ryan.
I'll shove rocks in his exhaust pipe. I don't care.
Yeah. That was a good tactic. He was just doing it on the wrong bike.
Yeah.
Look out for shrapnel. I mean, we're not doing it on purpose, but we did it anyway.
Right.
So, oh man. Well, gosh, it has been so awesome to get you on here, and I really appreciate your time. I really look forward to continuing to watch both of y'all. You both have an awesome racecraft. You work hard at it. And I do enjoy watching your post of wrestling and things like that as well. So you boys keep up the hard work. And Nick, you keep mashing them down. Okay. You keep pushing them hard. Because they'll respond to that. I'm used to that with my dad. My dad always pushed me hard, really hard. But just like you, Nick, I knew that he was going to put me on the best equipment, and he was going to have me set up to perform. So that goes a long ways, boys. Really let your dad know how much you appreciate him, because he just pours his heart into it. For sure.
And it's been a lot of, it's been very trying. Unfortunately, I don't come from a long racing family. My dad used to tell me, grease monkeys ain't gonna go nowhere in life. Get your nose in a book and be a lawyer or be a doctor. And I just didn't want to do it. It was, I want to make something fast. And he's not too involved with it. Not, like I said, none of my family is a legend TT racer, and you guys are very blessed to have that longevity. And, hopefully it starts here and it will trickle down with the boys and stuff. But, it's also, please understand that there has been great support from all the way from Danny Walton over at Jet Lab, to all the way to Patrick at 75 Design. It's been a lot.
Go ahead and hit it. Go and hit us with those people that are in your corner. Then give us.
We've got Brian Carter at Fly Racing that takes care of the boys every year with the top-notch gear and stuff. We got Danny Walton at Jet Lab that has been instrumental on helping us get our induction program where it needed to be. We've had Empire Exhaust. Eric has been great and dealing with them phone calls from me. And that poor guy, first time I told him I wanted to do this, he was like, do what? And he's like, okay, I'll try to help the best I can. We've had Gallagher USA, Patrick at 75 Design continues to make our bikes look amazing. Jeff Heischman at Liberty Cycle Center that's helped us with our engines and a lot of the parts that we needed. We've got Jackson County Tow, Tradition Home Group, KC Pool and Pro, Rod and Supply. My gosh, those guys have been great to us, And another person has been Brian over at Element. Brian Robertson at Element. You talk about nothing but patience with me. He's actually if you talk to him, he's got 2 sets of A-arms. You got to ask for Ryan Kisner's A-arms, and then he's got his normal A-arms. He has been nothing but great to us in our program. Micah at Axis, that man is on top of it. He has helped us through so much. Again, I can imagine the looks on the other end of the phone when you call him with something. But guess what? When you get it and get it back, it's top notch. Those 2 guys have really helped us with the suspension on these quads. And Drew Cox over at Maltech has been great to us. He's had to endure my impatience and stuff like that, and really helped. Adam Smith at RevTech has helped us, with the nerfs and the bumpers that we ended up getting. And we actually have, helped that Factory 43. Ryan's got a new set of his nerfs on that we've actually helped him design. So, and some people checked them out this weekend at the races. Unfortunately, got canceled and there wasn't a lot of people there. But, we've been helping him. And we've helped a lot of these guys with their products and try to make them better. And, it's not just always calling and complaining to them, but we want to see their product get better because we want to see it go to other people and stuff. Lichty Suspension, Mike Lichty, he has done nothing but been great on helping us, here at the house. Renegade, Tate at Hoosier, that guy has been very, very patient with me, and the phone calls and the text messages and stuff about helping with, just questions about tires. And, I don't sleep much. I help coach the football and the wrestling team, and then I come home and work. So these emails are coming back and forth, late at night. So, DWT Wheels, 5150, Rebel Gears, Lane Machines. I come from go-karting. So Stephen Fairfield Motorsports has been great with some of this stuff. Back in the 2-stroke days, that's their specialties. Again, Kisner Racing has been very instrumental with the boys, helping them learn stuff. A lot of these guys have really helped us. Crouch Racing, they have Dusty, coming from racing and stuff. We used to do a lot of brainstorming late at night. Dustin Thomas, all these guys, I could go on for days, because as well as I do, it takes a village. And please understand that these guys have been super, super to work with. Forworks, Forworks has been great. We're trying to get an intake and stuff, working with them guys. So, the list goes on and on and on. So please understand that, that we've had a lot of help. It's not just me fabbing up some parts in my shop, so we've been very blessed to have great people in our corner. And, again, Nathan Wolf, it kills me. I wish that guy was still around. I wish all you guys were still racing again. But, that was some of the best racing that we got to see.
we're trying to stack the plus 25 class, Nick. You just got to. I'll be there in January, so that's the plan.
Hey, kudos to you guys for being able to do it. I'm out. I couldn't do it.
Well, that's what Mitch was
I'm
trying.
lucky. Huh?
I said Mitch was trying to get me in there, and I'm like, dude, I'm not. I don't meet. You got to give me a year or two, and so yeah, next season I'll be there plus 35. Let's go.
And you remember what I told you up on the line, right? Up there at Paducah.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
Hey, let me know. I'm ready.
You got my number.
Yeah.
I even told Patrick Reagan, he says he was questioning if he had enough steam to go out there and race anymore. And I said, come on over. I got a backup bike I'll put you on. And he kind of like, oh no.
He came up to me at Belleville and he goes, boy, that little boy of yours is so smart. I just followed him right on through that wreck. He knew exactly where he was going.
Yeah. So, we've had a lot of people, more than none, have said good things about us. And, like I said, guys, it's not just me. There is a big, big support behind this. And, I want to thank Billy Clayton for putting on the MWEDT. There is no way that can be an easy job trying to make 200-300 entries go smooth.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Robinson for putting on that, the NEEDT.
Right.
That's, I know that these guys have big support cast behind them, but I couldn't imagine the stress. And for them to give us these opportunities is just a lot, I can't thank them enough. I really can't. And so, it starts with them, but, and our competition for keeping us on our toes, we haven't had a slouch season, guys. We've had riders there that have kept us going. So, we, definitely please understand that it's not just me and the boys. There's a big support cast behind us that we're very, very, very thankful for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that, like you said, it takes everybody, and I love, rolling up to the track and seeing you guys. And it's just cool when you see the motorhome and the trailer roll in, because it's, everybody's in there. It's not just like Dad and Ryan or Dad and Ryder. It's the whole squad, and that's what makes it, those are memory. And I know Ryan and Ryder, this doesn't mean anything to you, but like, I'll never forget those memories that, Dad and I got to make, and my brother too, trapped in a truck for 15 hours at a time. Financially, was it the best move? No, definitely not. But those memories, I wouldn't trade those for anything, and I remember, dude, Ryan, and you're 14, 13?
Yeah.
13.
13, yeah. Well, about there. I remember thinking I was the big dog, and man, on one of those road trips, dude, Dad and I locked horns from the minute we hooked up the trailer. We were just at each other's throat, and we were arguing the whole time. And man, I'll be honest, Ryan, from about 13 till about 18, man, Papa Bear was real dumb. Like, he was real dumb. But then from 18 to 21, he learned a lot in 3 years. Now, the truth is, I was the dumb one, but man, we still joke, because we were arguing one time, and I just looked at him and I put both my hands up. I said, hey, you know what? You're right. And the argument was over. None of us said another word for 4 or 5 hours. It was great.
I learned that from marriage too. So, I've learned that whole, you're right. And then just walk away. And, it's usually better that way.
Yeah,
so,
you got it.
And listen, I've learned a lot from my boys. I have learned a tremendous amount from the boys. So, I mean, we all kind of teach something to each other and stuff like that. And, like I said, I spent over an hour, Daniel, with your dad on the phone.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that is super awesome about you and Mitch having dads involved in the sport. And I hope that I'm picking up where your dads did. Like, I hope the tradition starts here, and my kids are going to do exactly like you, hey, remember when, your dad built that track, and remember when your dad helped all these people and stuff like that. And, I hope when all these kids do get older, they'll remember all the times that I did help them, beyond, even though, yeah, we're competitors, but I don't carry a grudge. It takes too much energy. And
Yeah.
I've never taught the boys to ever use the word hate. You know what? We don't hate anybody.
Right.
We might not care for somebody. We'll go our own way. But you know what? Even that same person that doesn't care about us, we'll give them a bolt. We'll give them a screw. Hell, we'll give them a quad. I mean, we let some of our biggest competition ride our bikes at some of these races. So, like I said, I'm not a perfect person. I try to be, and that's what I do is, when I work on a lot of people's quad, I do it here, and that's what helps fund our racing, because like you said, financially it's tough, and we try to give back to the sport, and that's the only way I know how to do it is help and stuff, and if you see, we give a lot of stuff away at these races too. We give a lot of stuff away at the Midwest, and we gave some stuff away at Sean's race up there in Ashtabula, so we try to give back to a sport that's given us.
Right.
So,
well, man, it is always good to visit with you guys, and man, it's just cool to hear y'all's story and kind of how you got into racing and then where you are now, and man, it's just going to keep going from here. So Mitch, you want to add on anything else for the RY Motorsports boys?
Well, it is the RY Motorsports,
Yeah, so RY or RY? I know we talked
about
Rye.
It's Rye because, like, for Ryan Ryder.
Yeah, I got you.
It's Super D. Where were you for the first 5 minutes of the conversation?
I didn't remember. I just didn't know. So Rye Motorsports, I got it. I'm in.
That's right. You got it now. Because, see, I messed up on it. Nick corrected me. I learned. Now Super D has learned. We know from now on it's Rye Motorsports. Okay. The 347 and the 247, the boys keeping it alive. Nick pushing them forward. The boys go out there and just do their thing. So, man, I'm so glad that we were able to get the whole family on here. You guys just keep it up, keep competing, keep living the dream. Nick, keep pouring into them. Missy, keep putting up with Nick. Y'all are awesome. But thank y'all again for your time, and look forward to this, getting this episode together and out. We'll call this the family episode, because that's what racing's all about here.
Yeah. If you can't have family, you can't have nothing, man. And it means a lot for me, and I beat it in their heads, and I really can't thank you guys enough. I really do. And like I said, from Mitch and Daniel and even the Clevelands and stuff like that, you guys are a great inspiration to the races. You're always positive, and it's always nice sometimes to have that positive inspiration around you, especially with like Kevin Cleveland. I could be having the worst race ever, and I'll see Kevin Cleveland, and that guy's got a smile on his face, and he'll say something to you that will just turn your day around. So like I said, guys, we really appreciate everything that you guys do, especially this on keeping people in tune with what's going on.
Hey, the truth of that is any day at the races, the worst day at the races is better than your best day at work, baby. I mean, I do enjoy my work, but I love being at the races, and be at the races and bring the joy of the Lord, man. I mean, it's what he gave us the ability to do. It kind of connects all of us. And so that's why we bring the joy to it. And I mean, I understand the competitive part of it. I was in it, and at one point in time, I lost the joy in it, but it brought me right back, and I love it now more than ever. So y'all keep it up. And again, thank you, Kisners, for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your night. I know it was a little bit hectic trying to get all this going.
No, you're fine.
Life was throwing us curveballs here. But y'all have a good one.
88 Live to Ride is a nonprofit foundation invested in the protection, education, and safety advancements for all riders involved in ATV racing. One way you can support Miss Debbie Pard-Tosick over there is to log into smile.amazon.com when you're making all your purchases there and select 88 Live to Ride as the nonprofit you would like to donate to. Again, that's smile.amazon.com and 88 Live to Ride. Hey, again, we want to give a big thank you. I accidentally kind of got my finger on the button, had to, Nick and Missy were like, hey, thank you so much. And then I kind of shut it down real quick all of a sudden. But yes, it was so good to get to spend that time with them. You know, they had made it home after the race and they were all settled in. And so it was good just to spend a little time visiting with Nick and Missy Kisner. Missy, not Misney. I'm sorry, Missy. Ryan is the older son and Ryder is the younger son. And dude, Mitch, I got to watch even our Ryan, podcast Ryan, while they were talking, I kind of pulled up my phone because Ryan's race was on the live feed right before they called it. I think they got in a pro heat race. And then I think Ryan's was right after that and ended up calling the race because it was starting to rain during his heat race. And man, you know, watching Ryan, like some of the basic things that even it's one of the things to win a race, Mitch. You know this. You've done this. I haven't done it as much, but I do know that feeling. It's one thing to win a race. It's another thing to win a race when you're doing it the right way, like pitching it just enough in this corner, you know, rolling on the throttle at the right time, you know. It's those things that I watch for, even in guys that are in third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You know, if you've got the technique, or maybe you just did get the, you know, that's what I'm looking for. And let me tell you, in that race, Ryan is doing all the things right.
Absolutely. I mean, he's always working on his technique. He's smooth. I mean, I guess I probably started watching him when he was about 10 years old. And I was just impressed with the skill that he had. It kind of reminded me a little bit, you know, I rode with Joel back when he was 11, 12, and the way he could maneuver and handle the chassis, you knew that he was going to be something special. And here we are, you know, 20 years later, and seeing what Joel's doing. So if the Kisner family sticks with it, Ryan Kisner will be a force to be reckoned with for many, 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 many years.
Yeah, I am.
And Ryder as well. We're not going to leave him out because, you know, little brothers usually rise to the occasion and they come up and they'll beat their brother at some point in time. So,
hey man, I'll buy you lunch on that one. I appreciate that.
I knew you'd like that.
It you know, same way. You know, my big brother Drew, like just naturally like, hey, let's get into racing. Like he just jumped on and just figured it out. Like he was just so good. It reminded me a lot of the the Little brothers, Greg Little, and even Keith would say, my brother Greg was so naturally talented. He said, it used to make me so mad because I would train, I would practice, I would eat right. And Greg would show up, you know, munching on a hamburger and French fries and a Coke and go out there and just stomp everyone into the ground. And it's like, come on. He said, but then there was just a certain point where it's like, maybe, you know, Keith's like, I don't know if I got a little bigger or, you know, physically could handle the bike better, but it, you know, it just switched. And it was like Greg couldn't buy a win on his little brother. And so now Drew could still probably put one on me if he really wanted to. But I definitely know that feeling. So it's going to be, I like what you're saying. It is going to be fun to watch these guys continue to grow and to get better. You know, I'm super pumped. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's also, you know, cool. We're all about family on here, Mitch. I mean, we got to see each other today. And of course, you know, Haley coming, hey, Daniel, and my kids are, you know, talking to your kids. And, you know, we don't do it enough. And we say that a lot, but it is cool that, you know, we are, you know, good buddies. We're friends. We co-host this podcast together. But more than that, you know, we're part of a bigger family. And it is cool.
Absolutely.
To kind of hear Nick and Missy talk about that, and then the connections they've made, man, it reminds you a lot of the church, man.
That's right. You know, God established the family. He told Adam and Eve when, you know, he created them to be fruitful and multiply. So God gives us a lot of instruction in his word about family, not only that biological family we're given, but also, you know, as we place our faith in Christ, that the family, that the bigger family that we become part of. Like you and I are brothers in Christ. But God established the family, and He wants us to continue that, and it is so important. Like in Psalms, it says, "Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord; the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gates." So, I think Nick made mention of, they prayed for a son. They wanted offspring. They wanted a child to pour into, and that came in Ryan. Then they got doubly blessed when they had Ryder. So you see, from a biological standpoint, we're born in a way that we're supposed to raise children up. Likewise, God wants us to be restored to Him, because He is the good Father. He's the best Father, that He can raise us up and use us to not only bring honor and glory to Himself, but to bless other people and bring the message to other people and how they can join this eternal family through Christ.
Man, I love that. And just so many good. I mean, you just read the one there, but there's lots of good verses that tie into what family and being part of the family is all about. Man, that was a great one to pull out there, Mitch. That was a good one.
Hey, Super D, I know I'm a little bit slow over here on this side. The fighting off this sickness still, my brain is like a little foggy. I don't know if you're picking up on that. I'm like, where are my thoughts going?
By the way, is there still laundry going? Did I, know how your brain goes? Did I turn the washer off? Did I lock the back door? Oh yeah. Speaking of verses about the Bible,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
Well, I just wanted to kind of highlight that God established the family, and we know it's important. We've talked about watching our children succeed and how that makes us feel, and we heard how Nick talked about at the 50th, just watching Ryan and just the emotion that he had of watching his kids succeed. God is the same way with us. As He uses, as we submit to Him and we're obedient to Him, He blesses us, and that He loves that. Just like He loves us.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I think about that, I remember one of the first races I was able to win, and I may have shared it on the pod, but just the Tulsa shootout. I think I was 12, 13 years old, riding a four-wheeler was way too big for me. It was just kind of one of those less is more type of tracks, and all the cards fell in my favor. And it was such a cool moment. And just to see the excitement on, my dad's face and my mom's face and my brother, he just ran down. He was the first one to catch me, and to think about the joys that, just to see my family, it kind of thinks like, well, when someone gives their life to the Lord, He has that same excitement. And when we witness to a friend or kind of start making the choices that, God's created us for, I try to tell my students all this time, hey man, you were created on purpose for a purpose. And when you begin to step into that, not that life gets easier or life, but you realize that, hey, no matter what comes at me, I understand why I'm here. And it's to do whatever it is, maybe it's to be a professional four-wheeler racer or a physical therapist or a youth pastor or whatever it may be, and so the joy that I remember seeing on Dad's face and my family's face after that win, as we're talking about this, kind of reminds me, I wonder if God has those same emotion, those same, you know what I'm saying? I wonder if
Right.
joy, He experiences that same joy. And I think so. I think we've got, a lot of verses that back that up,
Well, and I was thinking as you're saying that, to win a race by yourself, if you're at the races by yourself, that feels good, but to have people to celebrate it with, it is that much more special. So that's why, we're meant to be connected.
That's right.
We're meant to be connected to one another and part of that family and active. And it is, I'm so glad that God designed us to have a relationship with Him and have a relationship with other people as well. Those are kind of the two things that Jesus commands us: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and second like unto it's to love your neighbor. This life would not have near as much purpose if you went at it alone. It wouldn't.
Yeah. And, another there's several things I try to just, hit every time I get the opportunity to speak. And one is you were created on purpose for a purpose. So I don't know if you're listening out there and just struggling like, man, what am I doing with myself? Hey, you were created on purpose for a purpose. And sometimes you know exactly what that role is. And other times you're like, okay, God, you can point me in a direction now. That'd be great. And another one I like to say a lot is you were designed for community. Like the God that we serve, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit is a community. There's three in one, and it's still confusing to this day, but the God we serve is a community, and we were created in his image. So therefore, we were designed for community, like you're saying, and you're not supposed to go about life alone. And Mitch, do you remember the video that came out? We would have been high school, but Napoleon Dynamite. Please tell me you know this movie. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
There's a part in this movie, and if you haven't seen it, or if you're Ryan Kisner and you're making fun of me because I'm old, look up on YouTube Napoleon Dynamite Rex Kwando, and there's a part in there, and I don't want to spoil the movie, but the line is, Emily, I just blanked on it. What is this? It's I am slaughtering this, but basically he's like, no more flying solo. Like you always need a wingman. I'm ruining this, but he's like, using the buddy system. I've ruined it. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Microphone, Emily.
Are you talking about when they're at the dojo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, do you think I'm a failure because I go home to Starla at night?
Forget about it.
And he's like, it's a great, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a great family film. But he's like, no more flying solo. And so I don't know. That is a terrible reference. I've slaughtered this. I'm so sorry. You could, I may edit this out. Anyways, the point is, you were created for community, Mitch. That's all I have to say. Moving on.
A good way to put an exclamation on it right there. You were made for community, and our biological family is part of that, and our family in Christ is the one that's greater. Yeah, there we go.
Yep. Family at the racetrack. It's all part of it.
It is. All right.
Cool beans, man. Well, I got nothing else to add because Emily's making fun of me because I can't just answer the question. I got to tell a story. So, oh boy, let's wrap this one up, man. It's good control.
As usual, I can't talk tonight, and
this is fun to be on this
you're
side
going
of
off.
it. Yeah,
you're liking that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot easier to sit back and just kind of haggle your buddy, right? Route Mushmore and things like that.
Keep going.
Yep. Okay, I'll stop there. I'll let you, man.
Close this out, Mitch. Let's go.
All right. Father God, thank you for everything you've done for us, God. Thank you for family, and we thank you for our connection to you through Christ, God. I pray for all the listeners, God, that you would just bless them, Lord, and they will see their purpose in this life. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.